G'day folks, welcome to an OCC Queensland Weather Wrap. Today, the 8th of December 2022. My name's Chris Nitzo. This update brought to you by our major sponsor, TownsvilleSheds.com. Check them out if you're in the market for a shed-safe, accredited shed. We had a bunch of good storms last night, as you would have known if you watched our video yesterday. Those big storms getting towards southeast Queensland. They're clearing the coast this morning. What's going to be very interesting this morning is going to be how much moisture is left over behind them. If there's enough moisture left over behind them, we're going to see some big ones today. Very confident that we will see some big ones today across central Queensland. A little less confident around southeast Queensland, but that will depend on how much moisture is left over. And we won't know that until about 9 o'clock when they send the balloon up. Right, looking at forecast modelling for today, we can see some very isolated convection up in the northern inland, central inland parts of the state starts to become more scattered, and then southeast inland parts of the state becomes quite widespread. And you can see particularly Sunshine Coast northwards, very significant thunderstorm activity. Don't let the lack of colour on this chart fool you into thinking that these are going to be weak. They're going to be very strong thunderstorms. They may not be producing a heck of a lot of rain for everyone, but they will be very strong. Lots of hail and lots of damaging, possibly destructive winds associated with these things. These are big storms, but once again, don't expect too much from a rainfall perspective. If you get it, great, bonus. But if you don't get too disappointed. Don't expect it. You can see pretty isolated stuff further northwards, but still gusty, potentially gusty. Even these little showers up here in North Queensland's interior, they can be quite gusty. Certainly not to the level that the stuff down here is. Right, all this stuff down in southeast Queensland is pushing towards the coast. Through the evening hours, we've got a southeasterly change pushing up the coast, and that could kickstart some further showers and possible thunderstorms around the Gold Coast region and northeastern Mexico. And the expectation as the night goes on is that activity will weaken out as it progresses northwards. But some pretty sharp and strong southeasterlies coming in behind. Lots of damaging wind gusts, folks. This is big storm day today. You need to be aware of it. You need to be preparing for it. Don't leave your cars in areas that can be flash flooded. Don't leave your cars under trees. Make sure you're not under a tree. Tie your trampolines down, all that jazz. Make sure that that's all happening. Looking at the forecast ground radar for today, we can see that we are expecting to see showers and thunderstorms building very close to the coast in southeast Queensland, right over populated metro areas. And you can see them extending a little bit further inland as we push up into central Queensland. 1 p.m, 2 p.m, 3 p.m, 4 p.m, 5 p.m, you can see them pushing offshore. Notice there's a couple of little follow-ups around the Gold Coast and continuing to see possibly linear thunderstorm activity through here. Lots of dry microburst activity, so really strong damaging wind gusts coming out of these stuff in central inland Queensland. Not much rain. It won't look like much on radar, but it'll be packing a punch on the ground. The expectation through the evening hours is that most of our storm activity will sort of decay as it pushes up into CQ. You can see a couple of little follow-up cells down here around the Gold Coast with the southeasterly change, plus a little bit going on up around the Wide Bay coastline. In terms of rainfall, don't expect too much, but there is potential for isolated, localised heavy falls with these thunderstorms. They'll be moving fairly quickly towards the east or northeast, depending on where exactly you are in the region. And it is important that you understand your mate down the road might have got 30 mils, you'll probably get nothing. That's the order of the day. The other thing you need to understand is don't wait to be warned about the thunderstorms. The Bureau of Meteorology will be warning for them throughout the day, but don't wait to get the warning. If you see a thunderstorm today, there is a high likelihood that it will be severe. And it'll be moving fast, so by the time you get the warning, the storm's probably all over your top of your head already. Obviously, it goes without saying, don't be on the water. Quite clearly, there's going to be big storms very close to the coast. They're going to be pushing offshore. They're going to be creating 50, 60 knot wind gusts. You don't want to be on the water when that's happening. That's just silly. And then on top of that, behind the storms, you're going to get this big southeasterly change pushing through, charging through with wind gusts up around 20 to 30 knots in behind the big storms ahead of it. So just stay off the water. Pretty simple stuff. And just because there's no storms further north, the water conditions aren't all that flash. You can see northerlies, northwesterlies gusting to around about 15 to 25 knots, all the way up to about the Whitsundays. A little bit lighter as we head further northwards. And once we get north of Cairns, it's beautiful out there on the water. It's very hot again today over large areas of the state. And the Bureau of Meteorology has a heat wave warning out for large areas of central and northern Queensland. So make sure you stay hydrated. We get down and dirty with all these storms in our subscriber areas, folks. Subscribe to us at join.ozcyclonechasers.com.au. That's an example of the video that we've released today, looking at all the individual areas, looking at all the storm potential across those individual areas, and looking at all the severe weather threats across those areas. Have a wonderful day, stay safe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.